Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. A talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Keith Scott. Now we're going to be discussing his incredible novel, A Time and Place for Healing. It's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, man, it's a lot of other places. Now, before I go any further, I want to point out the fact that Keith was brought to us by Kravitz & Sons. So for writers out there listening in, if you need assistance moving your book, head on over to kravitzandsons.com and gather all the ways that their fantastic team is more than equipped to help you do just that. Listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Keith here on the line with us. Man, you know, the most profound transformations, man, they rarely announce themselves with a knock at the door, don't they? I mean, they arrive disguised as the person you never intended to let in. Well, today's conversation centers on a story about an old man, a young woman, and a connection that neither of them ever wanted until it reshaped an entire community. You see, this book asks us to sit inside the beautiful and uncomfortable mess of healing and stay there long enough to feel something real. Let's get it going. Keith, first and foremost, welcome to the network, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine.
Well, hopefully, Keith, by the end of this discussion, you're going to be doing a little bit better than fine. But we'll start there. We'll pick up the pieces as we go. Keith, it's a pleasure, man. I'm looking forward to having this discussion here with you. Let's start off at the ground floor, okay? Before we jump into the book, tell our listening audience a little bit more about yourself and your background.
I grew up in a family who financially struggled a lot. By the age of 8 and 9, I was out getting small jobs and giving the money to my mother to help support the family. After high school, I joined the Navy and spent 2 years in Vietnam, 2 tours in Vietnam, and then 2 years in Mediterranean, 1.5 years on Crete. After service, I used the GI Bill to attend college, where I got a degree in hotel and restaurant management. After 1 year of an assistant manager at a golf course, I felt I didn't like being in the industry. I moved to Utah, where I got married and worked at various jobs, ending up working for the post office and retiring after 20 years there.
Well, listen, man, first and foremost, thank you for your service. I appreciate that. And a thank you just doesn't even come close. But since the thank you is all I can offer at the moment, I'm going to thank you for that service once again. And listen, man, your book, I think, again, as I mentioned, it offers a lot of wisdom. It's a great read for much more than just entertainment. Keith, what inspired you to write? Because, you know, you just said your background, of course, you were in the post office for a lot of time. So where does this love for creative writing spur from?
I don't think it was a love for creating writing as much as it was for trying to get out a message. I just had the inspiration, and while I was sleeping, in the form of a dream, I assume. But people who struggle with anxiety and depression and stuff, and dream a lot, hoping for things that will make their life a little better. So my dream ended up starting as a dream. Whether it was inspired or not, I don't know, but it started as a story that I assume later on consumed my daytime thinking too. So I decided, well, I'll write it down because it made an impression on me.
Well, Keith, you talked about it wasn't so much a love for creative writing that inspired you to write the book, but more so a message that you felt the world needed to hear. And paraphrasing, of course, that's not the exact words you used, but the essence is there. Talk to us a little bit more about that, man. What was that message? What do we all need to hear? And why did you feel it was so important to show?
Well, I've struggled with depression and loneliness and stuff, and I just knew that maybe I could present a story. Well, maybe I can put it this way. Speaking for myself, I believe it's the truth of many others who are dissatisfied with their life, but we have dreamed, either unconscious or subconsciously, about how our life could be better or make our lives better. Without them, our alternative lives could be result in a less desirable situation, which I'm sure you understand.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you a little story here. Well, a little information. In Peru live a people called the Urals, who live on a floating island on Lake Titicaca. Their whole lives are centered around the Totora reeds. These reeds are bound together to form their islands, homes, beds, and traditional boats called the balas. As individuals, the Totora reeds are small and weak, some weaker than others, but when bound together, they have great strength. I believe as a society, being bound together, we would be much stronger, and the weaker reeds would become a part instead of being ignored and disregarded. And I believe that wholly. And I hope this book kind of presents that idea.
You know, Keith, from my perspective, absolutely. I think the book does show that. And I think that is the reason why this book is so powerful, man. And people, listen, I'm going to say it again. Remember, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, other places you got to go. A Time and Place for Healing is the book you got to pick up. And Keith Scott is who you have to thank for delivering it to you. Because, listen, entertaining read, absolutely. The book is going to help you pass some time on a rainy day, people. But really at its core, at its essence, it's talking about unity, right? There's so much division in the world. And I'm not going to go into all of the specific nuance of it, but at the end of the day, who is that benefiting? How does that help us by being divided? And that's going to follow into my next question here for you, Keith. You talked about the importance of this message, about wanting to get that out there. Well, when we're analyzing it from that perspective, when really boiling it down to its purest forms and talking about unity amongst the community, regardless of differences, why do you think, now it seems like a cliche and a lot of people will have their different preferences, but listen, man, you're the man of the hour. So I want to hear it from you. Keith, why is it important for us as a community to come together and to look out and care for one another? Why can't we just all stay alienated and be just fine?
Well, I found that I've always, and I guess the way I grew up, that you help each other, it helps you. But I've always felt that the biggest joy in life comes from serving others. For me, that is the case anyway, regardless of the situation. So in order for my health, mental health to be stable, I have to be serving others. And I was feeling maybe that's probably a basis for the story.
Okay, well, listen, let's churn it internally, man. And if you don't mind sharing, let's provide an example. I feel like human beings are, well, I know this with my children here, Keith. It doesn't matter how many times I say something, sometimes they got to experience it themselves to realize it. Or, maybe hear it from somebody else because they're just tired of listening to dad. But let's go here for a second, man. Can you point to a time in your own life where you, at first glance, you met someone, you seemed like you had nothing in common, and then through that conversation or that relationship, something was able to grow from that? And again, surprising even you. Can you share a particular story like that?
I knew a couple stories when I was growing up. When I was in grade school, a kid was being picked on because he had big ears, no matter what up. And everybody was picking on him. I became his friend, and I felt that helped his life. And again, in junior high, I was in class with another student. We happened to be in the gym class where all the football players played, and there was a couple of the players, big players, was picking on a young kid that was small. And I just told him, I says, knock it off. I says, pick on somebody on side. He says, you want me to pick on you? And I says, go ahead. Well, he backed down then. But those are a couple cases where, and this kid and I become friends. I mean, again and again. In my life now, I play Santa Claus, and a lot of the activities I go to, like the senior centers and the church parties and stuff, I do for free. But I also make wooden projects and have given away wooden toys to some of these charitable organizations and kids around. And that to me is fulfilling as far as I'm concerned, because I don't have the finances to do much else, but I do what I can to uplift other people's lives.
You're doing your part, brother. I'll tell you that much. Listen, my final couple of questions here for you as we start to close out. Keith, we've discussed a lot of information here so far today, but I'm curious to know, what do you want your readers leaving with, right? It's a two-part question here. When they close that final page, A, who do you want to be the reader of this book? I think it's easy to say that it benefits everyone, and I believe it does. But who do you anticipate your reader being, and what's the message you hope that they take after closing that final page?
Well, I started out as a story to present to just about everybody because I felt it was appropriate to everybody. But after finishing it, I'm not a really what you'd call an expert writer or good in anything, so it's pretty simple. I left out, there's no foul language, no violence, no sex, so it's geared for younger readers. And I think that the younger readers would enjoy it because it's easy reading. Mm-hmm. I don't use big words because I'm not that smart myself. I keep it down to what they can understand in simple language, and hopefully they can read it and see, yeah, I can see that, and I got somebody that I know that maybe I can befriend and help them and help myself in the process.
Listen, man, I'm going to say it again, all right? Remember, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble. It's a lot of other places. Type it into a search bar, sit back and be greeted with it. As we close, man, this conversation has peeled back. It's peeled back the layers of a story that understands healing is never a straight line, right? As much as we would like it to just be a linear progression, it's not that. It's a place that we inhabit, a timing that we rarely ever have control over. And I think we need to give ourselves the grace of understanding that that's okay. Keep up the fantastic work. And once again, thank you for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Well, thank you. And you have a good day. God bless you.